Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jashodananda Brajajana Ranjana Jashodananda Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवनधारी यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य श्री राधा कृष्ण भो गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय नवदीप धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय द्वारका धाम की जय स्वामी भक्तवृंद की जय और ग्लोरी टू और ग्लोरी टू थैंक यू वेरी मच
Hare Krishna, welcome Mother Mitravinda, and welcome to Gayatri Loka. We're still waiting for other devotees to show up.
No problem, Prabhu.
So
May I first say, please accept my honorable obeisances to yourself and your lovely wife and your family. It's wonderful to see you and see you doing such nice service.
Hare Krishna, thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
much for your blessings. So we'll play a few bhajans and then we'll see what we can do.
That's perfect, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay.
चंद्रमुखी चंचल चित्त
Hare Krishna. Mother, I think you can start. I can put the verse on the screen and you start. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, it's. I'm sure you know the protocol. It's just like giving class in the temple room.
Okay, fine. That's wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
There's another class going on actually for Loka Devi, our other god sister. I mean, the other Loka Devi.
Yeah.
So that's fine. I'm very happy to be here today, and I'm actually very honored to have this opportunity to share Gantaram Srimad Bhagavatam in this space.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Jai Radhamadhava already happened.
Yes.
I turn my phone off. There you go. Thank you for playing those lovely bhajans.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, everyone, Dandavats, I'm grateful for your presence here today. I humbly request the blessings of the senior devotees that I may share in a way that honors the knowledge of this amazing process known as Bhakti Yoga. My name is Mitravinda Dd. I'm a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. Again, my gratitude for your time and patience. Okay, so the standard prayer for before reciting or speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Java Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirajit. The translation for that is, before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeva shabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevayam bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhagavati naishtaki. So today, by the mercy of Sri Krishna and the assembly of devotees and His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami and A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, it is my pleasure and great fortune to be here to try to share something which, if possible, is all by the mercy of my guru and my guru's guru and your great mercy. So today, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, Verse 15 is what is shared. Text 15, the Sanskrit follows. Yatra dharma sutta raja kadapanivrakodara Krishna Shri Gandivam Chapam Surit Krishna Stato Vitapripat. Again, Yatra Dharma Sutta Rajo Gadapanir Vrakodara Krishna Stri Gandivam Chapam Surit Krishna Stato Vipat. Shall we do the word for word, Prabhu?
As you wish.
Okay, so I'll just do that briefly.
Okay.
Yatra, where there is. Dharma Sutta, the sons of Dharmaraj, the sons of Dharmaraj. Raja, the king. Gadapani, with his mighty club in hand. Vrakrodara, Bhima. Krishna, Arjun. Astri, carrier of the weapon, Gandiva. Chapam, bow. Surit, well-wisher. Krishna, Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Tata, thereof. And Vipat, reverse. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Oh, how wonderful is this influence of inevitable time. It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhishthir, the son of the demigod controlling religion? Bhima, the great fighter with a club. The great bowman Arjuna with his weapon, mighty weapon, Gandiva. And above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. As far as the material or spiritual resources were required, there was no scarcity in the case of the Pandavas. Materially, they were well equipped because two great warriors, namely Bhima and Arjuna, were there. Spiritually, the king himself was the symbol of religion, and above all of them, the personality of Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna was personally concerned with their affairs as the well-wisher. And yet, there were so many reverses on the side of the Pandavas. Despite the power of pious acts, the power of personalities, the power of expert management, and the power of weapons under the direct supervision of Lord Krishna, the Pandavas suffered so many practical reverses, which can only be explained as due to the influence of Kala, inevitable time. Kala is identical with the Lord himself, and therefore the influence of Kala indicates the inexplicable wish of the Lord himself. There is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being. Om Agena Timiranyasya Jananjana Shalakaya Jakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Bhangam Lagayate Giram Yad Kripata Maham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. So, once again, thank you all for being here. The main points that I will cover today in this pure knowledge of education of the spirit, Shastra, regards time in the aspects of who, what, and why. The main points will also be regarding time as irreversible and reverses. and it will also regard karma. So for the purpose of clarity, let's see. So for the purpose of clarity, I see Gayatri Devi's here also. Haribo, Hare Krishna, everyone. Generally, I speak to people who it's their first time or they don't have so much information on Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, or in regards to they're in the initial stages of learning about or referring to or hearing from Bhagavad Gita. So if you don't mind, I will do a blended aspect in my presentation today, so that if there are people that get to see it who are in that zone of being new to Krishna consciousness, then they won't feel left out. So as an overview, for the purpose of clarity, I will give information regarding the background and sourcing of where I'm reading from. And today we're sharing from Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is about, this particular section is about the Pandavas, who are a family of spiritual beings engaged in a battle with other family members, which is something that's not uncommon in this age of Kali Yuga. Also, today we're hearing in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a spiritual literature based on ancient texts, spiritual pastimes and knowledge about God and God consciousness. And for the sake of also clarity for those who are new, we refer, and it is referred in this scripture, God is referred to in his name as Krishna. And the name, that name of God is in this spiritual information based on the foundations of Bhakti Yoga. Specific and further detailed information on the Pandavas and their journey can be found in the Bhagavad Gita, as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So also in this Bhagavad Gita, you will become educated on the journey of yoga, what it means, how we can jump the hurdles of life with proven techniques that will minimize distractions, add light to the darkened path, and help us to sidestep potholes in the dirty streets of material existence. In the Bhagavad Gita as it is, we are privy to the conversations in the aspects of friendship and tutelage of Arjuna, who is befriended and tutored by none other than the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna himself, giving guidance with, at times, tough love, but continuously with the best result for Arjuna and all beings in mind. So, back to our verse. Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text 15. Again, our translation reads, "How wonderful is the influence of inevitable time. It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses? In the presence of King Yudhisthira, the son of the demigod controlling religion, Bhima, the great fighter with a club, the great bowman Arjuna with his mighty weapon Gandiva, and above all, the Lord, the well-wisher of the Pandavas." So we see right here in the translation, the influence of inevitable time. If we look at this word inevitable, it means it's happening. It's like, I don't know, has anyone been on a roller coaster before? I have. I'm guessing some of you have been, or maybe you've watched your children go on it in an aspect of not wanting to desire to get the G-forces in your face. So inevitable means, for example, if we're on a roller coaster, we go up to the apex of that roller coaster, the highest point. And then you'll have a point where you might sit here for a minute, and then you're going to go down, because in regards to gravity from a scientific level, that the students, the children, and persons who are in college are studying, what goes up comes down. So it's inevitable. It can't be stopped. So we see that in the process of time, things will occur. And those things which occur, they can't be stopped. As soon as there is conception, the process of aging begins. We don't think of it in terms of that. We think, oh, well, there's life within, it's so new, it's beautiful. And yes, it is, because life is given by Krishna. It is also maintained by Krishna. And it is ultimately, in a particular form, ended by Krishna. But the soul is eternal. And so we see again in the translation, that the influence of time is inevitable. The second part we see is that it is irreversible. Once it begins, there's no turning back. Just like on that roller coaster, when you hit the apex and you begin to go down, you can't say, no, 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 no. I don't want to do this. This is not what I want to do. I want to go back. I don't like what it looks like at the end. Ultimately at the end of the roller coaster, you get off, you leave. Your legs might be a little wobbly, but you leave. But you go on the journey, you stay on the track. And this process of bhakti yoga, it's a track. And we're in the cars, and the cars are our bodies, these dehas, these envelopes of the soul. So we don't get to go backwards in terms of, once we've begun this journey in the bodies that we have in this age of Kali Yuga, we stay on the path and it's irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses? They're asking, reverses happen, and they happened with regard to King Yudhishthira and his brothers, the Pandavas. So we're wondering, reverses refers to things that happen in life that may be perceived as not so desirable. We think in terms materially of good and bad. Yet, if we have the great opportunity to have guides and teachers from a spiritual education, which is the topmost, mathematics, writing, reading, geography, sociology, whatever. The topmost aspects of education are in regards to spiritual knowledge and understanding of who we are, where we come from, and hopefully you'll get a glimpse as to why you're here in this body at this time, and understanding that there may be something, or understanding that your mission, what your mission is. For those who like to watch action flicks, there's this more than a trilogy, it's a whole catalog of movies called Mission Impossible, where you're given a task, you're given a set of instructions, and then unfortunately for the person who's given the tasks, that those instructions are deleted, they are blown up, they are burnt, they are singed, they are done. However, we are very fortunate because our instructions are right here. They're right here in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, in all of the Shastras and all of the wonderful writings, notes, messages, songs, and aspects of inspiration that are given to us and handed to us down through the line of disciplic succession, which literally means a path, like a baton race. It's handed to us from the apex downward. And we receive this information from Srila Prabhupada and our teachers, our gurus. And in that way, we are very much benefited. So for reference again, the Pandavas are in a great battle. They're in a battle with their relatives, the Kurus. They're outnumbered. They're outweaponed. They're outdone in so many ways if you look at it materially. However, King Yudhishthira is the son of the demigod controlling religion. Bhima, who is a great fighter, has a club, and again, he's a great fighter. So these are attributes and assets in regards to what they need to do in terms of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjun, who is another warrior, he has a weapon called Gandiva, and they are all set and ready to go. They are also connected directly to Krishna, the Lord himself. And Krishna is their well-wisher and on their side. In fact, this battlefield, as it was said, Dhritarashtra, the uncle of the Pandavas, he requested that his secretary get information by ways of medium or psychic intervention to determine what would happen on the battlefield, because he wants his sons to win. He wants them to have an advantage, but this advantage he wants is based on deeds that are not correct. He doesn't want to share the kingdom. He doesn't want the rightful heirs of the kingdom, not only not to have all of the kingdom, which is rightfully theirs, he wants them not even to have a fraction of it, not half. He actually wants them to have none of it. And in this way, he's operating in a way that doesn't equate to balance. And if one is imbalanced, then ultimately they fall, unless they have assistance. So they're not respecting the position of the Pandavas as cousins, relatives. They're not even understanding or visually or paying attention to the fact that if they really thought about it, they would understand that this information from Sanjaya said that they are favored. They are favored in the position of not even being in a regular place of battle. This is a place that is actually a holy place where spiritual ceremonies happen. And it is a place where Krishna is standing next to them in this battle. So he didn't see this information from the perspective of understanding actually how out of balance his position was. So we can see here in the purport, it says, as far as the material or spiritual resources required, there was no scarcity for the Pandavas in the case of this conflict. Materially, they were well equipped with two great warriors, namely Bhima and Arjun, were there. Spiritually, the king himself was a symbol. This is Yudhishthira. He was a symbol of religion. And above all of them, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, was there to assist, to guide, to tutor, to add the light on the path if there was darkness. Personally, And Krishna was concerned with their affairs as their well-wisher. And yet, in spite of all of these really, really great and wonderful pluses, you know, in the world we have this phrase, pluses and minuses. In spite of all these pluses, the Pandavas had many reverses. And despite the power of pious acts, the power of personalities, the power of expert management, and the power of weapons, under the direct supervision of Lord Krishna, the Pandavas suffered so many practical reverses, it says. So those reverses in Mahabharata extended to the Pandavas losing their home. It extended to them being exiled, losing their earthly father at a young age. It extended to their wife being dragged out of her chambers and assaulted, and with the intent of further assault, she was left to a point where she had no other recourse than to call on the names of God, the name of Krishna, who supplied every bit, every inch of fabric that she needed to feel safe and secure. And as the purport continues, these reverses, which can only be explained as due to the influence of Kala, inevitable time. It means that it was already written. It was already in the process, already a part of the plan. Because Kala is identical with the Lord himself. Not even a blade of grass moves without Krishna's sanction. And it is because of this that we should understand, as we day by day, inch by inch, minute by minute, and second by second are being led to the point of surrender. Surrender not in terms of material surrender where someone's waving the white flag or, you know, throwing their hands up in defeat, but surrender in terms of being able to release everything to the one that loves you, to the one that cares for you truly, to the one that protects, guides, shelters, and has the best interest of yourself, myself, my children, and each and every living being in mind first and foremost. So these reverses, or what looks like reverses, are not necessarily reverses. They are aspects of the journey that help us get to where we're going. If you're in a car and you need to stop at a stoplight, that is not, it's not something that takes away. It may be something that helps you stay safe, because someone may be coming who has no brakes. Someone may be coming who's not paying attention. So instead of getting a T-bone, you're stopped. The person who's being distracted, like a child in a candy store, goes by you, and you safely continue on your journey. So, would you go back to the purport, please?
Okay.
If you don't mind, thank you. Okay, so Kala is identical to the Lord himself. Therefore, the influence of Kala indicates the inexplicable wish of the Lord himself. There is nothing to be lamented when the matter is beyond the control of any human being. Would you leave that up, please, Prabhu, just for a bit? Thank you. So as we see here, Kala is identical to the Lord himself. Inevitable time is identical to the Lord himself. So also we are understanding there's nothing to be lamented when a matter, any matter, whatever matter, is beyond the control of any human being. We can name instances or think of, unfortunately, with pain that diminishes over time. Again, time, who is none other than Krishna. Time heals all wounds. Time allows the process, any process, whether it's being in college, whether it's after conception, the amount of time, 9 months, for a body to grow over the soul. And that body has an opportunity to enter from the mother's womb into this material world. Time also causes these reverses, as we spoke of. And in terms of lamenting something, lamenting something that is beyond the control of any human being. And one of those things that I can bring up is when it's time for a soul to continue on with its journey and leave the body behind. This is what in the material world is known as death. It's death in accordance with the material world, but it is the continuance of life spiritually, because the soul, as part and parcel of the Lord, Paramatma, has no beginning and no end. Krishna has no beginning and no end. And the soul is a fragmental part that Krishna gives. We each have a soul and we have a covering. And as it's said for King Parikshit, he couldn't buy another second, much less 4 years of time in the body. When it is our time to leave, this is already known, not by us, but by Krishna. So not even a second is allotted, not even an extra second is allotted to anyone. And because of this, in this purport, we can understand that there's nothing we can do about it. It is a matter beyond the control of us as beings in human bodies. We are spirit beings, spirit souls. We are in human bodies. So at the moment of death, or when that time comes, there is nothing that we can do. So that may seem in contrast with the medical community and the paramedics, the doctors, and those who are given by divine knowledge anything that relates to techniques, technology, medicine, anything that's used that we see with our imperfect vision to equate that is giving a person extra time or giving them life. This is not in the control of a machine, nor is it in control of medicine. It is only in the control of Krishna, in God's hands. The doctors are tools, they're agents of mercy given by Krishna to the living beings, along with the equipment and anything else that from a material perspective assists God in the process of helping each and every jiva understand what we are doing, why we are here, and gives another few minutes. Krishna only can give this if it is our best, and if it is in line with Krishna's choice for us, because not even a blade of grass moves without Krishna's sanction. So there's a Christian saying, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. I've heard this many times as a child, being raised Christian, and in understanding the way that Jesus Christ walked the earth and is what's known as a Shakti avatar, Shakti Avesh avatar, a guide, son of God. The way that we understand this in terms of anyone who's on any particular spiritual path is that God is the giver of everything, the source, the goal, the controller. And so in that way, we have to understand that everything that we have is a gift. And at the moment that it is decided by Krishna that our breath, our prana, is to be taken away, we have to understand that that is also a gift, because it means that it's our time to continue to the next aspect of the journey. So the Lord's favor and reverses, they can be confusing. And that would be natural. On one hand, we're understanding the word favor as a good thing and reverses or losses as a perceived negative. So since yoga is about connecting by way of tools such as the breath, actions, and developing one's consciousness, it is understanding the source of all things that we can reduce stress and worry. This education will release us to the present in terms of being aware of our deeds and consciousness going forward, being able and acknowledging and accepting with faith that whatever Krishna does is for our ultimate benefit, regardless of whatever we understand at that present moment. So the Pandavas in their journey had so many reverses, even though they had Krishna on their side. They had great warriors, they had weapons, they had so much favor, but these reverses still occurred because it was all in alignment with what Krishna desired. And the Pandavas, Arjuna went along with it. He struggled, was tutored, was brought through aspects of anxiety at the thought of what the mission was and what needed to be attained and achieved. Sri Krishna is the supreme controller of all things. So not even, again, a blade of grass moves without his sanction or will. The best thing that we can do is to act in a way that relates to Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, in accordance with his will, no matter what that will brings our way. It's not easy. At any moment, there's aspects of fear and anxiety that we go through. But that fear and anxiety doesn't have to rule us when we stop for a moment. We take a deep and relaxed, inhaling breath. Join me. And we let it go and exhale. Just by doing that, we can come into the present moment, which allows us to be aware, to be cognizant of the fact that we are servants. So the favor of the Lord in reverse is, again, in the very first chapter, text 1 of the Bhagavad Gita, it refers to how Dhritarashtra was seeking an edge. He was seeking information to try to get the edge up so that his children would win. Even with the imbalance of understanding that he was not rightly situated in doing this. And the Pandavas had these reverses. Yet Krishna was next to them. Krishna was on their side, both in reverses and as well-wisher. We also know that in the information, that the purport, King Yudhishthir was the son of the demigod of religion. So that's another aspect of being rightly situated. And his brother Bhima was the son of the wind god, Vayu. So we also know that Arjuna, who is referenced in the Bhagavad Gita, is directly getting tutelage by Lord Krishna, by God, on what to do next, what's going to happen, he was also given reminders of his skill, his education, and his mission, and was walked through the steps apprehensively, but he was walked through. And he had a great weapon known as Gandiva, a bow known as Gandiva. So as we're understanding these reverses and losses from a spiritual perspective, we understand how blessed and highly favored the Pandavas were. As the sons of Pandu, whose mother was given great boons by the demigods that enabled them to have their bodies. And the other two, who were the sons of demigods, directly related, their mother was directly related to Krishna. Mother Queen Kunti was the aunt of Krishna, no less the father and creator of all living beings. So they were so favored, as stated, that the battle was held in this place that was also a place for spiritual ceremonies and sacrifices to Lord Krishna. Yet they had so many losses, so many things that were perceived as losses. But at each of those instances of perceived losses, they carried on. They stayed on the path. They persevered. And in our lives, in the lives of our ancestors, in the lives of pretty much everyone collectively at this point in time on the earth, with pandemics and unrest and violence and disease and old age and death, we see these reverses. So Queen Kunti, she held fast. These are her sons, and they did the same. They stayed with it. They stuck in the battle. And they came from the lineage of a spiritual lineage. And I would like to give supplementally information on the prayers of Queen Kunti, their mother. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1:8-28, the verse reads, Manye tvam kalam mishanam, anandi nidanam vibham, samam charantam sarvatra, bhutanam yanmita kali. The translation by Srila Prabhupada reads, My Lord, I consider your lordship to be eternal time, the supreme controller, without beginning and end, the all-pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you are equal to everyone. The dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse. Srila Prabhupada's purport reads, Kunti Devi knew that Krishna was neither her nephew nor an ordinary family member of her parental house. She knew perfectly well that Krishna is the primeval Lord who lives in everyone's heart as the Supersoul, Paramatma. Another name for the Paramatma feature of the Lord is Kala, or eternal time. Eternal time is the witness of all our actions, good and bad, and thus resultant reactions are destined by him. It is no use saying that we do not know why and for what we are suffering. We may forget the misdeeds for which we may suffer at this present moment, but we must remember that Paramatma is our constant companion, and therefore he knows everything, past, present, and future. And because the Paramatma feature of the Lord, Krishna, destines all actions and reactions, he is the supreme controller also. Without his sanction, not a blade of grass can move. The living beings are given as much freedom as they deserve, and misuse of that freedom is the cause of suffering. It continues, the devotees of the Lord do not misuse their freedom, and therefore they are the good sons of the Lord. Others who misuse freedom are put into miseries destined by the eternal Kala. The Kala offers the conditioned souls both happiness and miseries. It is all predestined by eternal time. As we have miseries uncalled for, so we may have happiness also without being asked, for they are all predestined by Kala. No one is therefore either an enemy or friend of the Lord. Everyone is suffering and enjoying the result of his own destiny. This destiny is made by the living beings in course of social intercourse. Everyone here wants to lord it over the material nature, and thus everyone creates his own destiny under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. He is all-pervading, and therefore he can see everyone's activities. And because the Lord has no beginning or end, he is known also as the eternal time, Kala. So here we have it. Krishna is time. Krishna has no favorites. Everything and anything is caused and given by Krishna. So we have to understand that reverses are not reverses. It is all mercy. And when we look at it that way or understand it that way, I heard it that way from my guru, Srila Bhakti Swami. Srila Prabhupada has given this information, these notes, written for us to study, read over and over again here as part of the 9 processes, and through experiences, come to have better understandings with each moment, with each second, each day, each year. We are afforded time to take this information we are studying and understand it and imbibe it, accept it, and be empowered by Krishna's words. In this way, we can surrender to Krishna, who loves us, and be able to move on our journey with strength, with empowerment, knowing that as long as we are doing and processing in a way that's favorable to this spiritual information, then our journey is, there are going to be hills that we have to go up, and we're hoping that in the car, the vehicle, that our transmission is good enough to get us there. But if there is a perceived reverse, then we may have to go in for a tune-up. We may have to change a tire. Whatever it may be, get back on the road and keep it moving. So Krishna is partial to no one. His mercy is provided to all who serve. There is no partiality of Krishna. There is no friend and enemy. And that's a good thing for us to hear, because we in this material state, we perceive friend and enemy, and then we act in ways that don't relate to the fact that this perception is an illusion that separates us. It separates us from the fact that through Paramatma, Krishna is in every living being. And with that information, as Bhakti yoga practitioners of any kind, spiritualists, and persons who believe in and honor God, then we can aspire to act accordingly. Okay, so also in Bhagavad Gita, regarding this aspect of time, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in Bhagavad Gita 11:32, as a supplement, said, "Time, I am the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas. The soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Death cannot be checked. Time is destruction. All manifestations are to be vanquished. One second. All manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. That is the law of nature." So as devotees, what is beyond our control? Regarding this purport, we could ask ourselves as devotees, what is beyond our control? On the one hand, we could say everything is beyond our control, because there is only one supreme controller, and that is Sri Krishna. But it is also known and is noted in various texts that even he can be controlled by one thing. And that one thing is pure love. And that pure love is possessed by Srimati Radharani. She is the example by which we can see, learn, and aspire to serve our beloved Sri Krishna. It is through her that we can serve. And for us, it is through our guides, our teachers, our gurus, that we have this opportunity to become educated in this service. We are not affected by anything that has happened in the past or by what is known as the future. We should be conscious. We should, with conscious acknowledgement, understand that we are not the controller of anyone or thing. Or thing. Respect what is given. Endeavor to move forward in a way that reflects gratitude, mercy, and acknowledgement of the journey by preparing the road ahead with God, Krishna, at the center of the storm or rays of sunshine, because there's happiness and distress. But the balance between the two is where our goal is. And in the center of all of that is Krishna as our source. Rain or shine, come what may, he, she is our anchor, our balancer and stronghold. What matters is the now, right now, because each second is the now. And if we are able to stay there, we can be attentive to Krishna, God, and what needs to happen to honor the gifts and connection of love and eternity and eternality that we are being given an opportunity to understand. So, Krishna is impartial. Krishna is the controller of all things, the maintainer of all things. Krishna is the destroyer of all things. Krishna is the creator of all things. Krishna is time, irrevocably. Irrevocably, Krishna is time. So I'd like to share something with you since we're coming to the end. And then I'll take questions if you have them. I wanted to share this. And some people may think of it as mundane, but I don't think of it as mundane, actually, because when we understand that Krishna is the controller of everything, we have to understand that Krishna being the controller, we can, if necessary, take and use, pull, and adhere to anything that will help us on the path. So when I was a young girl, there was a song that I liked to listen to, and it was by a woman named Cyndi Lauper. And I wanted to share the lyrics of this song in regards to Krishna being inevitable time, regarding these things perceived as losses for the Pandavas, regarding this battle, this great battle, because, you know, this understanding of time will help us as we are on our journey to bhakti. So the lyrics go like this. Lying in my bed, I hear the clock tick and I think of you. People think all songs maybe are relatable on some aspects to, you know, these thoughts of relationships, which can be mundane. But if we look at these lyrics in regard to Krishna as the controller and creator, then we can also see that there are connections. So lying in my bed, I hear the clock tick and I think of you. Caught up in circles, confusion is nothing new. Flashbacks to warm nights, almost left behind. Suitcase of memories, time after time. Sometimes you picture me, I'm walking too far ahead. You're calling to me, I can't hear what you've said. Then you say, go slow. I fall behind. The second hand unwinds. And the chorus I'd like to sing in the melody of the song, it goes like this. One moment, I have to find it again. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting. Time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting. Time after time. So that is what I think will end. But before I do, I neglected to do this, so I really need to do this. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Prachadane Nivishesha Sunyavadi Paskacha Deshatarane Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Prachadane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskacha Deshatarane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namane Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shritatmane Shri Gaura Guru Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namane. So that is the conclude of my sharing. Please forgive any errors, omissions, or misunderstandings in my sharing today. Prabhu, is there time for questions?
Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the class. I went over the verse before the class began, and I found the verse to be quite a difficult topic to discuss, time, because we all have our own different meanings and approach to time. But I think you did a very good service. So at this point, we ask each and every one to raise up their hand if they have a question, and then Mother Mitravinda will answer your question. So before anybody asks a question, I don't see any hands up yet. You said that if we try to become devotees, if we try to see things in the perspective of being Vaishnava, then the so-called reverses are actually not reverses, they are all mercies. So I would like you to explain like lots of the hardships, reverses that these Pandavas went through. How are they Krishna's mercies? Like they were almost burned in the lake house. I mean, their suffering is unthinkable, but they did go through such reverses. So thank you.
So thank you so much for that question, Prabhu. So there reverses as we read, and if anyone wants to go back or go into or pick up the book, if it's not already in one's possession, the prayers of Queen Kunti are all amazingly, fearlessly, with graciousness, grace, humility, and gratitude about Queen Kunti as a saint, understanding that reverses, or these perceived reverses, calamities, whatever they may be, instead of her wallowing in sorrow or being buried by it, consumed by it, burned up by it, or burned up by anger or emotions of lowness, self-esteem, whatever, for her and her sons, it was about continuing. And continuing meant that they were focusing on Krishna. They were focusing on God in their lives, not on the pain, not on the heat and the aspects of anger and passion, not wallowing in the sorrow or the bodily discomforts or the sluggishness that comes with the mode of ignorance and depression.
Well, thank
Yes.
you.
No, there's more, Prabhu,
Okay.
but also not in thinking because she is the aunt of God that she's so puffed up that, you know, it's all good. I can treat anyone anyway because I am highly favored. So she was not affected by the modes of material natures, these gunas, goodness, passion, and ignorance. You know, ignorance can drag you down. Passion can burn up everything, destroy everything. One word, you know, one angry action, you know, misdirected lust in the wrong place. Everything's done. But it's also in regards to the mode of goodness, because that's the tricky mode. That's the one everyone aspires for, but you have to understand what it is. And that in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the divine and demoniac nature, there's a thin line between the two. Being comfortably situated can put you on the side of being inimical to the feelings of others and therefore becoming offensive without understanding or perceiving it, or maybe just, you know, knowing it. Look at Hiranyakashipu. He had everything afforded to him, all comforts, all wealth, knowledge, everything. And it increased his demoniac behavior. Demons are afforded, in the case of Hiranyakashipu, things that in the material world look like, hey, that's what I need. I need that car, you know, handsome, wealth, position, running this, running that. And it's a thin line between saintly and demoniac. You have to be careful. We have to be conscious of Krishna at every step. And that is what Queen Kunti did. And that's what she helped and guided her sons to do. And so for the fire, for being expelled and, having to live in the forest, they kept their focus, they kept their balance. And so as in yoga, balance is necessary. And this is the process of bhakti yoga. And with bhakti yoga, we're talking about balance and love. And that balance and love helps us move even on this material plane in a way that will help us jump the hurdles. Because when you do a hurdle, I don't know, I used to watch my brothers run track and field. When you do a hurdle, you have to have a technique. When you jump over that hurdle, if one leg is too low, you didn't study your technique right, and you hit that hurdle, you could fall. You'll lose your timing. You'll lose seconds on that clock. You won't finish the way you want to. So again, these processes, these 9 processes of devotional service, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, all of these tools, these aspects of the mission have been provided for us, and they're not going to be burnt up in, like in the movie Mission Impossible. They're not going to be destroyed so that we just have, we're given a lot of mercy on this path. Krishna's given us We can read the books. We can hear Krishna's holy names. We can chant Krishna's holy names. Call on God's names by whatever faith system that you are in, and you are rightly situated for the journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mother. So we take another question from Melon Hawkins. You can unmute and ask your question, please.
Hare Krishna, Appa. It's Madhavacharya.
Oh, Srimad Acharya Prabhu. Okay, please ask your question. Hare Krishna.
That's Kunti Devi.
Oh, Nakanti.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Oh, it's both of them.
Yes, we get a 2 for today. How awesome.
Thank you for the wonderful class. I was thinking, you gave the example of the roller coaster and how, there are ups and downs in spiritual life, but the outcome is inevitable. So in terms of the inevitable outcome, that's very encouraging, but it seems as if, the track can kind of, because some people reach that inevitable end quicker than others. Some people it takes many lifetimes, some people can do it in one lifetime. Mm-hmm. So how can we help make that roller coaster trip, as brief as possible, so we don't yell and scream and such anxiety if we go up and down?
Mm. Oh my goodness, that's a great question. We can tell you've been on the roller coaster a few times at the amusement park with the children, right?
Yeah, well, formerly, but I don't do that anymore because I'm too old.
Yeah, it's a little rough on the spine and alignments and things when you get older. I understand.
Yeah, definitely.
So, in order to help us stay on the path, am I giving a recommendation?
Yeah, please.
So, in my limited understanding, I would recommend finding a teacher. Finding a teacher to tutor, guide, connect with, surrender to, and take shelter of, in terms of aspiring to understand more in every way and with each moment. A tutor that would help one understand in times that are perceived as sorrowful or sad. Even in times of elation, a guide, support, is necessary. So I have had that. We've had that in Bhakti Tirtha Swami, in Srila Prabhupada, the Vani aspects of words written and videos and audios that help us in these times of so-called reverses reflect outside of ourselves, in terms of we have these bodies, so we are affected by the world. We're affected by things that happen. We're affected by whether the sun shines or not. And that's not just on I like the sunshine, I want to be warm kind of thing. It equates even on deeper levels. The sunshine has vitamins and nutrients in it that our skin absorbs and supports our organs and our mental faculties and our ability to move and have actions related to the service of bhakti yoga. Or as a mother, father, whatever you're doing, your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health is all affected by whether we get what is needed. So in terms of continuing on the path, whether the train goes off the track or not, the support of a spiritual guide, a spiritual mentor, is absolutely necessary. The love and encouragement of spiritual people who practice and pray and have the best interest of yourself, your family, from, again, a spiritual perspective, because you can have people who guide people, but they're thinking, let's say a corporation, they're only thinking about the bottom line being $1. Now, Lakshmi Devi is wealth and opulence. So she serves Krishna. So Krishna already has all of that. Krishna doesn't need that from us. So if that's the goal of being on this path, any spiritual path, you're not really going anywhere. You're going to go around in a big circle, because that's what Hiranyakashipu wanted. He wanted fame. He wanted wealth. He wanted power. He did all kinds of atrocious things to get it. He did anything and everything to get it. And in due course of time, God gave it to him, because Krishna gives free will. He wants our love. That's all that he wants. He wants for us to love, because in love there's service, and love there's acknowledgement, and love there's commitment, and love there's all good things, all beauty. But this is something that we don't fully see in this material world with material vision and material consciousness. That's why through the processes of bhakti yoga, through spiritual connection, through the tutelage and surrender to pure devotees, pure servants of God, teachers who have our true best interest, not donations, not buildings, not things that are temporary, but through this concept of, through these books, through chanting the names of God, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By chanting the names of God as we do in this path, and in any other path, chanting the names of God will help you stay, stick, and move forward on the rails, on the train, on the path, this journey to whatever God wants of us, whatever Krishna wants of us. We let it go. We throw caution to the wind is the last part. That's it. But because we are encapsulated in these bodies, it has an effect on ourselves as beings of spirit. There is some effect. That's why we have those gunas. And learning to override them, taking that moment to breathe, which will allow more oxygen to the brain so that you don't make a decision that's going to be based on ignorance, so that you don't make a decision that's going to be based on passion, so that you don't make a decision that's only solely based on goodness, because that's not going to get anybody to the spiritual world either. Goodness is a stepping ladder to being able to have more focus. Because if you're hungry, see, the mode of goodness relates to being in a comfortable situation. Now, comfortable and over the top is two different things, you know? When you're hungry, it's hard to think. That's why when children go to schools, they recommend that they have a good meal. Breakfast, lunch, and then hopefully when they come home, they can have dinner. Snacks in between would be nice too. But it's also what that nourishment is that will apply to how much benefit is given. So the same way, you know, we have these opportunities to be nourished. And when we're nourished properly with prasadam, prasadam is mercy. That's what it means overall. But when we offer food items to Krishna, when we pray over the food, then God accepts it and transfers any negativity and creates a platform for us to be nourished from more aspects than just our bodies, our soul. Our souls are nourished. So in Bhagavad Gita, you know, there's so many aspects of yoga, sitting sitting with the spine direct, connecting the inhaling breath with the exhaling breath, outgoing breath. In such a state of mind, one can, you know, focus on the Lord, focus on God. And so again, breathing, we get oxygen to the brain. When we eat properly, you know, our bodies, you know, our stomachs are not hankering or painful. And so just like these children, when children don't have what they need, the focus is off. So we as children of God, we have these ways to nourish our bodies, our minds, and our souls, which equate to us being able to learn, hear, process, and have deeds that help us grow, help us understand, and ultimately help us on the journey. You can't walk a long distance if you haven't had a meal. At some point, you're going to stop. So we're thankful for all of the benefits that are afforded to us in this way.
Thank you very much. That was a very nourishing answer. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Mother Sri Upanishad had her hand up, but it says she is no more here, but she had a question in the chat room. She was asking, please share example on how Queen Kunti developed this mode of faith and devotion.
Queen Kunti developed this mood of faith and devotion through prayer, through calling the names of God, through focusing on Krishna in her life, and not just thinking, oh, he's my nephew. You know, I used to, I don't know. Yeah, she didn't change a diaper, but you know what I mean. He's her nephew. She focused on him from the perspective as being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all sources, the creator of all things. And so in her times of distress, again, instead of wallowing in the pain, the sorrow, and the despair, she kept it moving. She kept it moving because she knew that she was covered. And her covering was made up of the syllables, the utterances of Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And her daughter-in-law did the same thing. Draupadi did the same thing. In her time of need, in an arena full of those with power and prestige and titles, she was left alone. She was abandoned. Even in regards to her very capable and qualified husbands, there was no intervention. But we can't take that situation and apply it to this age of Kali Yuga. When there's something that should be done or can be done to assist, we should. But as it said in the verse, if there's nothing that can be done and we understand this, then we cannot lament. We cannot lament. We must move forward, as Queen Kunti did. After praying, she moved forward. When the house almost burned down, she's like, come on, let's go. We got to go. They left. They kept it moving. They exiled. Okay, pack your things. Whatever you can take, whatever you want to take. Let's go. It's time to move. She kept the focus. And she was the example of this for her children, for her daughter-in-law. And the character and courage and strength, resiliency and faith within her poured out to them. And we see this time and time again in the Shastra.
Thank you very much for the answer.
Thank you.
Well, of course, we've been following this particular chapter for quite a few days now. And since we started this chapter Personally, I find this chapter to be quite difficult to understand, quite difficult for me to grasp, because Bhishma Dev is a Mahajan. And when we look at his actions, particularly his actions involving the war, it makes it quite bewildering. It's really difficult to figure out what we're learning from whatever he was doing. But my question here is in regards to Mother Kunti. Sri Prabhupada has said that those who are intelligent do not pray to God for God to give them their daily bread. You know, God gives the elephant whatever tons of food they need. They don't pray to God. The birds do not pray to God, but they are offered. So why should we pray to God for daily bread? Why should we pray that we do not have any problems? Problems come on their own. So we do not pray to Krishna for Krishna to get us out of problems. Because whether we do or we do not, we will get out of problems, we will get into problems every now and then. So my question is, why would Mother Kunti, such a celebrated devotee, pray to Krishna that these calamities should come upon me again and again and again? Why would one pray for problems? That's my question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhu. So Queen Kunti, so we know that to commit sinful activity on the strength of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is actually offensive. It's offensive, it's nam aparad, right? So we chant to ask for service. We chant to honor God's name. We chant to give thanks. We chant to remember. So in times of calamity, Queen Kunti, because she is saintly, she's not regular, she's not average anything, because I can't even fathom on any level her understanding or doing what she did. So Queen Kunti, she not only prayed, but her prayers were specific in times of calamity and not. She was continuously calling the names of God. She was continuously praying, but her prayers were that in times of suffering, in times of anguish, in times of sorrow, she realized the ability to focus deeper, longer, and stronger on Krishna. She was not distracted at these times. She was absorbed in Krishna's holy names, and her prayers were not regular prayers. They were prayers in which she said, bring these calamities over and over again. Let them never cease, because it is at these times that I think of you. It is at these times that I am surrendered deeper. It is at these times that I see honor and focus on you in my life. So this is not something that I can do. This is not something from a vulnerable standpoint. I don't even know if I could do. It's overwhelming to me, but these are the signs of pure devotees. These are the signs of pure humility, immeasurable faith, and conviction as complete servant and saint in God's mission. So this is who Queen Kunti is. And her children learned, again, as Madhavacharya Prabhu had that question about what to do to stay on the track. She gave great examples of what to do to stay on the track, above and beyond.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. I wanted to say, Prabhu, in the chat section, Sri Supanishad Devi Dasi gave a she gave a notation that I wanted really to put out there or acknowledge. And her note said, Hare Krishna, thank you so very much for the reminder that not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord. Also, the famous Miles Davis recorded that wonderful song. So I was like a little girl and I heard this song by Cyndi Lauper. And so Sri Isopanishad is saying that this song actually was first recorded and it's famous by Miles Davis, I guess, first. And I didn't know that, but I do appreciate the information and the correction. So yeah, you know, like, and I wanted to say also, if I might, that Cyndi Lauper, she was like 16 years old, and I didn't know this at age 10 or even, I just found this out recently. She, at a young age, she would go with her sister to the Hare Krishna temple in New York, and it was the one not before Horton Skinamarhorn, and she would go to the temple with her sister, and they liked the food, they liked the prasadam, so they would go off and eat. And then at one point, when she was 16, her and her sister moved out of the house and moved into the temple.
Wow.
Yes, and they moved into the temple and they washed, they cleaned, and they cooked, right? That was their service, to live in the temple, and then they got free food. And she said how cool that was. And at one point, though, she said that she overheard a conversation with some men, some devotee brahmacharis or whatever, or the temple authorities, that said they should get the girls married, you know, because, you know, something like this. And then that's when they left the temple, and then they didn't come back. But so Cyndi Lauper, if you look at some of the things that she's done and the music that she was deeply affected by this Krishna consciousness. She really was. And so, you know, I don't, you know, she's not so much outwardly that way, but in her life, you'll see how the connection was. And her, she's got an avant-garde style, and then she has some paintings or things like that. And I think her sister sat for one of the paintings at the time, or the portraits, or something to do with creating Krishna artwork. So I just wanted to add that in acknowledgement.
So not that it's important, but Cyndi Lauper recorded Time After Time first, and then Miles Davis recorded it second. Cyndi Lauper actually wrote the song.
That's what I thought. I thought that I was confused at what Sri Upanishad was saying there. I thought Cyndi Lauper wrote it first, but I don't know. She
wrote it and recorded it first. Yeah, it's her song.
Okay, and so Miles Davis, very famous Miles Davis, recorded it second.
Yeah, he covered it later. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the reason that I used the lyrics from that and wanted to present in this sharing was, you know, time, Krishna is time. So it's all relative, right?
Time after time.
Time after time. I love in the chorus how it says, if you're lost and you look, and you will find me time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting time after time. Now, honestly, if we're thinking in terms of, you know, there's a cycle of repeated birth and death, there's karma, you know, how time affects us, how these aspects of kala affect us, right, in the present moment. But we don't understand, like, you know, there's this talk of why do bad things happen to good people? Yeah. We're all spirit souls. We're all connected to Krishna, and that if we understand that, then we're not thinking this person's good, this person's bad, you know, from a spiritual perspective. But we understand that Krishna is the controller, the source of everything. But because of karma, which is not just representative of the now, it represents kala, time. Time is the full gambit. It's the past, the present, and we can be affected by our karma in the future. So in this way, we understand that what we do or what we say has an effect on our future. And from our past lives, it affects the now. But ultimately, as this information was given, these reverses, are they reverses, or is it that our karma is just following through? So when we have and hear and understand this information, we understand that we just have to keep moving and focus on Krishna, love our families, and have the right deeds and honor each and every one, every living being as part and parcel of Krishna, part and parcel of God, creations of God. And then in that way, I'm reminding myself, then in that way, we can continue on this journey and accept whatever comes as what it truly is, God's mercy, Krishna's mercy. And keep praying, keep calling on the names of God. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was thinking of Krishna and Prahlad. If you follow, catch him. They were trained Prahlad here and there. Krishna was catching him at every point in time. So thank you so much for the class. It's very relatable class. And thank you for showing up. And thank you to Srimati Kunti Devi and Madhavatara Prabhu, Jonathan, Mate, Alfred, and anyone else forgotten to mention them. Thank you.
Thank
Hare
you so
Krishna.
much. Thank you for reminding me. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. So we ask everybody to unmute himself or herself, and then we chant Big Hare Krishna to appreciate Mother's presence. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasindhuvevcha, Patitamam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Thank you for allowing me to do this service. I really do appreciate it because it keeps me from distractions at this moment in time in my life. Serving
Hare
Krishna, just sharing.
Shrimati Mitravinda Ki Jai.
Jai,
Hare
Jai,
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Sahadev ki
Wonderful.
jai.
Wonderful.
Jai.
Shrimati Prabhu Ki Jai.
And let's not forget his wife, Loka Devi Ki Jai. Jai, Shri Prabhupada. Jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Have a great day.
Loka, you look beautiful. Hare Krishna. I wish I could see your lovely face.
Hare
Haribo.
Krishna. Thank you.
Great job, Mitravinda. It was really amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Yeah.
Thank you,
No,
Todd.
thank you. Thank you for being my support system and my gurus and just being compassionate and wonderful devotees. I appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Very well. Hare